All right, my man.
The stream is live.
Stream is live. Yep, we are live on YouTube and we're going to go live on Instagram right now. I'm back. So we're live on YouTube, we're live on Instagram. What's up, guys? It is 8:30 a.m., January 7th. It is the premiere of Dual Coast Podcast. We have been waiting for this for a long time now. Me and Russ have been talking about this for many months. We've known each other for quite some time. We are excited. We are stoked. We are hyped. We are whatever other adjective you could think of, whatever the verb you could think of. So,
yeah. Oh man, I can't believe we're here, man.
I know. Very exciting. But you know, a couple of you guys have watched our intro videos. I'm not sure who's seen them and stuff like that. But today we're going to do a lot of introductory phase still. We're going to talk about the podcast a little bit. Me and Russ are going to go over a little bit of our backgrounds. And we're going to go over a couple of things. It's going to be somewhat of a motivational episode. It's the new year. So we're going to do some a little bit of exercises with you guys. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to do some, have a little discussion about that. So, Russ, you have anything to add to that?
I do. I think about, going back a number of months, right? And we're talking months and months, but of this year or last year, I keep going back to 2024. Like, I don't know how many people make that mistake, but, going back to 2024 and when this started, evolving, right? When this was birthed in our minds and we started to talk about this was, 6-7 months ago.
Sure.
And then, we realistically started this thing really getting down to the nitty gritty, I think, in about September. And Correct. It's like, okay, we got 4 months now, and we gotta start getting serious. And we started asking people to come on the show, and started talking with Cindy Whitman about some of the details, and it's just been quite a process.
Yeah,
it's very fun,
right?
But a lot of work. Not that anything doesn't take a lot of work, but it was a lot of work to get to this point, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled we're here. This is awesome.
Without a doubt, it's a lot of fun. Guys, it took a lot of work to get here, honestly, just like Russ said. A lot of technical work that goes into this, honestly. There's a lot of tech. There's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of asking people questions, definitely. But, it's really come to fruition. We've put it all together. We've lined up some great guests for you guys coming up over the next couple of months. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. So in case you guys didn't watch our introductory videos over the past couple of weeks or so, we're just going to talk a little bit about what we're about right now. So Dual Coast, meaning that where the name comes from, we'll discuss that really quick. I'm on the East Coast. Russ is on the West Coast. We've known each other for about a year. We tried to put together some cool names and everything like that, and we came up with Dual Coast. Both coasts, coast to coast. So we're going to practice and preach physical and mental wellness all throughout the United States, we could say, but really all throughout the world.
Yeah, Dan, I give props to you, Dan. You came up with the name. That was awesome.
Appreciate
props
that.
To you, baby.
That took a lot of research nights and a lot of contemplation, honestly. But I think we came up with a cool name. I think it's catchy. I think people like it. So what we pretty much want to do, guys, is we want to preach physical and mental wellness throughout whatever avenues we can talk about, through guests, through motivation, through different aspects. We want to pretty much be able to have people motivated, get them to get out, take that first step in wellness, even if it's physical, if it's mental, if they need psychological, anything of that nature. We're trying to preach that in all aspects. And we're going to use guests. We're going to use me and Russ's backgrounds. We're going to talk about certain aspects of physical wellness, mental wellness, psychology, everything along those lines. And, we're going to bring some people on who kind of bring about those attributes as well.
Yeah, I think, some of our past experiences are going to play huge in this, sure. Going off of what you do on a daily basis. Yep. A lot of my past history, 20 years experience of personal training, coaching sure. Softball, coaching athletes. This is who we are, that we've lived, eat, and breathe this. And right. Like you said, I think our guests are gonna bring some great light into people's lives that are gonna challenge people on a daily basis. And I think it's getting that first step for those that struggle with the first step, but those that are struggling with the mental illness, right? And it's something like we dedicate an entire month to mental wellness, right? Yep. And getting people into a positive realm. And I think, Dan, like it's something that because people struggle with it and we dedicate a month to it, we've got to really implement the idea of how important the physical aspect of our bodies and how that relates to our minds and
Sure.
what it does from a positive perspective.
Right, right. There's a huge amount of crossover, guys, between the physical and the mental wellness aspect. So, like the training aspect, how it affects you mentally, the mental aspect, how it affects you physically. So, a little bit about my background. Russ has a big training aspect behind him. He's been a coach, he's been a fitness trainer. A little bit about me, real quick. I went to school for exercise physiology. I did training for a little bit of a period of time after college. Then I became a physician assistant. Now I work in medicine full time. So, health and wellness has pretty much been a huge aspect of my life. I've preached it for many years now, and then I kind of carried it into a career path. And this is what I do now. Honestly, I work in surgery now. So, me and Russ kind of tag team the ideas of physical and mental wellness in different aspects, but I think together we put together a total package.
And I love it. I love it. And, going right into like where we are right now, taking what you do, Dan, and taking what I do and combining it to create Dual Coast Podcast I think is going to be enlightening to a lot of people and really helping people, whether it's physical or whether it's mental, right? Dealing with obesity, dealing with these things that people struggle with in their daily lives, right?
Right.
People that are living sedentary lives, lifestyles. Those are things that we want to talk about. These are things that we want to inspire people. We want to motivate people. We want to encourage people. We got your back. We've got your back. Yes. So whatever we can do, or whatever our guests and some of their comments and some of their stories that are going to encourage people, that's what Dual Coast is all about. And, taking that and going right into this year, think about what a lot of people did at the end of the year to get to this point right now, talking about like New Year's resolutions and, how is that impacting lives or do people fail at that? What is it? And that's kind of what we want to talk about today. We want to go into the direction of what is the difference between New Year's resolution, one word, and what we are doing in our lives and how that's impacting us.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, guys, statistically, most people do not hold on to their New Year's resolutions. And I know a lot of those New Year's resolutions have to do with physical wellness. That is the biggest factor that people kind of use as far as the New Year starts, is that they want to lose weight, get in better shape and everything like that. So, we're here to drive you. We're here to motivate you. We're here to help you with those New Year's resolutions, here to talk about them, talk you guys through them. Our job is to motivate you guys. That's what we want out of this whole podcast. Our whole idea is to drive people, create this idea of wellness in their minds and their bodies. So that's exactly why we're here. Me and Russ, we talk about this on a daily basis almost. Me and Russ talk all the time about training aspects, the mental wellness of things, who could help with this, who could help with that. So that's why we're here. We want to drive. And Russ is a little more familiar with the one word aspect of things. And, we'll kind of touch with Russ a little bit on that in a second. But I think like New Year's resolutions wise, people don't really withhold them. I think they also make big goals for themselves sometimes. I think they try to lose too much weight or they try to set too big of a standard for themselves. Sometimes they have to take a step back and just think about things and just resonate with them and just think about what they want to do in the short term first, and then maybe progress to a bigger goal. I think a lot of people set this goal for in January, they set something for December and they want to be like, 50 pounds lighter or 100 pounds lighter. And that's great. And that's amazing. And I totally, side with that. Sure. But sometimes people, I think, lose sight of that goal because it's too big. So I think what they need to do is kind of plan a little bit more in the short term. And then from there, keep progressing. And Russ, you have something to add to that?
I'm going to raise my hand as far as like one who has failed at New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
I probably have only done it a few times in my life to where, I thought about it in December and, losing weight or getting fit or whatever, and really kind of putting that number out there. This is where I want to be in 3 months. And I think my target was way too big. And, when you think about New Year's resolutions, there's definitely a percentage of people that, who do carry on and have set attainable goals,
Sure.
throughout the year.
Sure.
But, some people will just put out a number, and that was basically me. I would just put something out there, and then in the first 30 to 60 days, it was all downhill after that.
Yeah.
And so, it didn't work with me. And so
right.
I don't do it. I
right.
don't do it.
Right. Most people, I think, after that, like Russ is saying, is they stop setting that New Year's resolution after they failed once or twice. So I think what happens is people have to just think about the goal in a different aspect. They have to think about a short-term goal as opposed to this long-term goal. Maybe not that year worth, but maybe like, okay, I'm going to do this for the next 3 months. And then in 3 months, in March, you plan for something else. Or you set a goal for the end of January. It's January, 7th today. Maybe on January 8th tomorrow, you set a goal for February 8th and you want to do something in the short term. Lose this amount of weight, maybe get in the gym this amount of days a week. And but that's our whole thing here is, not about New Year's resolutions, this whole podcast, but like, just to get you guys motivated, get you guys into this idea of how do I get into that mindset? Maybe not even, it doesn't have to be getting into the gym, doesn't have to be, working out every day or anything like that. It just has to be to take that first step and get out there and try to do something that fits your fitness goal. Doesn't have to be in the gym. Russ loves to work out in his garage. That's a big thing for him. He likes to look at the ocean. He's on the West Coast. I'm a gym guy, but other people, yoga may be their thing. Cycling may be their thing. Spin may be their thing. Pilates, whatever it is. Even walking, jumping rope, something that is even, low static exercise, something along those lines, like stretching. Our goal here is just to get you guys motivated to take that first step and then find your way through that first step. And I'll let Russ take a little on that.
I go back down to, my personal story back in December of 2023. And I flew up to New York I was in a wedding, a part of a wedding in Florida, flew up to meet Craig Siegel in New York City, and we had coffee at the Hole on the East River. It was awesome. And so we were meeting, and we only met for like 40 minutes.
Right.
And so we were in that conversation, though. This was the latter part of December, and he asked me this question. He goes, and we had just met that day in person for the very first time.
Right.
And so he asked me this question. He goes, Russ, what's your word for 2024? And I was like, in my mind, quickly, I was like, I don't have a word. Like I don't, and then immediately a word. This all happened in a split 2 seconds, right? And immediately I said, I like it. And you know what? When I stated that word, intentional, and it struck me so quick.
Yeah.
And that word intentional was so profound that I started thinking about that word each and every day. And then basically all the way from that moment on, all the way through the end of 2024, I thought about this word the moment I woke up. And it wasn't just about the word intent in working out. That word intent, I woke up and I said to myself, what am I going to be intentional about today?
Right.
What in my work aspect, what am I going to be intentional about? What calls are most important that I need to make? What emails do I need to send? What meetings do I need to set up? It's intentional about every day. And I'm telling you, 2024, that word, that question at the end of 23 changed the direction of my life.
Yes.
And, my challenge is, for people out there is like, think about a word. It doesn't have to be one of those, bam moments, but it's something that you think about, going forward. And it's not too late to set that word for 2025. So, get a word, because I felt like this was more profound. This was more concrete for me in my daily life of something that it was very specific, intentional.
Yes.
And so challenge you to get a word.
Yes, that's the dual coach challenge for today, guys. And that's the exercise I brought up earlier today in the podcast, is that we want you to have a word for 2025. You could set your fitness goals and your New Year's resolutions and everything as well simultaneously. But I think a word is something you could rely on every single day, like Russ did. He was intentional about what he did in every single aspect of his daily life. He thought about it. What's the intentional purpose of each thing that he did? I was talking to Russ about this the other day, and, he asked me what my word was. So I really thought about it pretty hard, and I came up with connect. And connect was something that, just resonated with me. So, even just tying back, not even to this year, like I connected with Russ, we formed Dual Coast, and that just started, resonating with me a little bit more. And I'm like, okay, I need to connect to this, the fitness aspect of things, the mental aspect of things. What else can I connect myself to that will make me better in 2025?
Yeah.
How can I connect to this fitness goal? How can I connect to this person, that person, and just allow me to thrive through 2025? What type of connections can I develop further down the line? Who could I talk to? Who could I speak to? Me and Russ like going to conferences, just for a quick, example and stuff like that. Who can I connect with at those conferences? So connect is going to be my word for 2025. What can I create out of connection? And that's, me and Russ talked about this the other day, and that's the word I really, came up with. And that's the word that really sits well with me, I think, for 2025.
I love that. That's a great word, because when you think about connectivity, right?
Sure.
A lot of people, even through exercise, people
Yeah.
don't like to go to gyms. Why? Why don't they like to go to gyms?
Judgment.
Because, judgment. They don't want to be judged by other people. But in fact, Dan, your experience, right? Like, people aren't looking around judging you. They're involved in their world.
Not at all.
We're all at different levels,
Correct.
or the fact that, feeling a little inferior to somebody else that, speaking of inferior, we're going to be inferior next week when it comes to seeing Frank Seppi on this site, dude. Like, whoa! And, but, people get in there and they feel inferior because of the way that people look, or maybe you're 30, 40 pounds overweight, or even 10 pounds overweight, and you just don't want to get into that gym. So then you never make the decision to go forward. Right. So just start in your neighborhood, get out and start walking, walking in your backyard, doing those things, those exercises that you talked about, and I think connectivity is really important, when you invite somebody to go on a walk, or, you invite somebody to go to the gym, or, hey, let's hang out and let's do some form of physical activity together. Right. And
Correct.
So you connect with people. And I think it just drives people to another level mentally.
I think so too. And, people can find their role in working out when they connect to that too. Some people may like the cycling. Some people may like the walking. Some people may like jumping rope. It's whatever connects with them. Some people might like the gym culture. And I understand that. It's really not a judgmental zone. Everybody's in different phases of things. Nobody's judgmental. I think it gets a bad rap sometimes, guys, when, people have this whole aspect of where they walk in the gym, they're getting judged and stuff like that. That's really not the case. But it's really what you feel, honestly. I can't tell you what you feel. So when you get out there, you try to do what fits well with you, what sits well with you. You're jumping rope, you're walking, whatever, you're stretching. It's all about what you can connect to as far as a physical aspect, a mental aspect. That's why I think my word sits well with a lot of people too, connectivity.
Yeah. And my word, is certainty.
Yes.
I want to be certain about every decision that I make. And
Yes.
this wasn't a lightning bolt experience. This was something that kind of matured over, I would say, about a month and a half.
Right.
Like, I kind of went between a couple of words. And so, unlike a year ago, this time it was thought out. And what can I do in 2025 that's going to raise the bar from where I was and be intentional? And it's not that intentional is done. It's over with. I still think about that word.
Sure.
But it's certainty of 2025 about every decision that I make and everything that I involve myself in or don't involve myself in.
Yes.
Right. So it's for and it's against. Like, I'm not going to do this because I need to take my time in doing something else. Right. So I want to be certain in everything that I do all throughout 2025 and be intentional about my day.
See how he touched it.
Got to throw that word in there. One more time.
That's it.
Yeah. So I just want to challenge people out there, right? Today, right? To whether it's a New Year's resolution, if that works for you, that's fantastic. But take small, obtainable steps,
correct,
right? Along the way, but do it. If it's a word, I think that word, it really impacts your life. So think about your word for 2025. It's not too late. There's no deadline that says you can't have a word after a certain time. But, think about a word that's going to impact your life where you are right now. That's going to motivate you every single day.
Right. Use that word to drive you guys. Develop some sort of motivation out of that word. Doesn't even have to be physical, honestly. It could be mental. It could be anything in that regard. It could be something that just, drives you in any manner. But just a word that resonates with you, that means something to you, that you can create something out of for this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So we're wrapping it up, baby.
We are. We are wrapping it up today, guys. Just real quick, Dual Coast is pretty much going to be about 20-minute live sessions on Tuesday mornings, just like me and Russ did just now. Maybe if we have a guest, we're going to go another couple of minutes. That's a strong possibility. Guys, next week we are going to be here same time, same place, YouTube Live, Instagram Live. All our streams are going to be recorded. We're going to be on Spotify. We're going to be on Amazon Music. We will soon be on Apple Podcasts. We are on YouTube Live, and all our stuff is recorded on YouTube. The links are all in the Dual Coast bio on Instagram. We're also on TikTok. We're on X. We're on Facebook. Check us out there. All the same handle. Guys, next week, highly recommend tuning in. Frank Seppi is our guest. He is going to be great. He's an innovator. He's a motivator. He looks like me and Russ physically. Like, so
Once
he's going to
take this shirt off, Dan. Once I take this shirt off,
I hope Frank keeps his shirt on. I'll be honest with you. But he's going to be great to have on, guys. We're going to ask Frank a series of questions. He's going to give you guys some tips. He's going to give you guys some plans maybe for 2025 to reach your fitness goals. He's going to be great to have on. So me and Russ are really excited about that. Russ, you got anything to add?
I'm stoked to have Frank. I mean, our first guest of Dual Coast Podcast. I am excited. He's excited.
He's excited.
I know there's going to be a number of people that are going to be watching that show. So I'm stoked about next week, but I'm just as happy about today. My closing statement, this is our closing statement for Dual Coast Podcast, is that wellness is not perfection, it's progress. Think about that statement today. Wellness is not about perfection, it's about progress.
That's correct. Coast to coast, baby. Let's
go.
Coast,
let's go.
Let's go. Take care, guys.